Hello and welcome to Petronella Computer Consultants' presentation of how to reduce your telecommunications costs while improving productivity. It looks like there'll be more people here today than I can respond to during the course of our presentation. So please type your questions into the box at the bottom of the screen, and I promise you we'll get back to you in less than one day. Check your speakers and make sure your phones are muted, as we are recording this for presentations to people who have indicated they can't make today's schedule. We're going to talk about telecommunications, the past of telecommunications, the current situation, and the future regarding telecommunications. I'm also going to talk about new technology called VoIP phones. We at Petronella are local leaders in the Raleigh community of installing VoIP phone systems. And as you're about to learn, this offers a tremendous reduction in cost and a tremendous improvement in productivity if your circumstances are right. We're also offering everyone who attends today's webinar our assessment of your telecommunication needs and situation. Petronella Computer Consultants specializes in unified communications. And this is an outgrowth of our IT service business, which also offers managed services. The new concept of one point of contact, i.e. Petronella, handling all issues that pertain to your phones, your PCs, mobile devices, everything. We take the management of your IT infrastructure off of your shoulders. We've also helped dozens of local companies migrate their business into the cloud, again accelerating productivity. We specialize in virtualized backups to give you the peace of mind of knowing that your data is secure 100% of the time, regardless of any man-made and/or natural disaster that may afflict you. And our overarching philosophy is to help our clients improve their profit, productivity, and cash flow as a result of optimizing technology. But back in the good old days, the telephone that you're looking at was the norm. And in those days, the only costs that you had to worry about were local and long distance charges. But as communications has evolved and as technology has evolved, you now are faced with a myriad of features and options and services, all of which come with a price tag. As a matter of fact, some of our clients have told us that the bill they get from their current carrier is so complicated they can barely understand what they're paying for. And to some degree, we think that's deliberate. I'll explain that later in our presentation. But you have video and audio conferencing, wide area networks, wireless, data networks, VoIP, and the phone system itself. Let's take a look at communications evolution, starting with the chimpanzee over on the left. Just like we humans have evolved into our current state, the same can be said with telephones. Back in the early days, the telephone was a novelty. Then it evolved into a tool that became indispensable. And now it's become a situation that is not only indispensable, but so complicated and so complex that at some degree, some people are wasting money and time. We're going to show you ways in which to explore your current cost during today's presentation. You may find that your company is one of those companies that has inadvertently been overpaying for underperforming telecommunications services. We'll also show you how to prepare your business for moving into a VoIP scenario. VoIP telephony and VoIP telecommunications offers tremendous advantages and benefits to companies that use them. But as with all things, there's a balancing act between implementing new technology and getting the maximum results out of it. For instance, if you watch TV, you know that there are VoIP phones that you can get for $9 a month. Do they do what a business needs? Absolutely not. Are they as clear and as distinct and as useful as a business system? Absolutely not. But it is $9 a month. What we want to do is avoid implementing a system that creates any disruptions to your team. You see, the Franklin Time Management Institute published a study which showed that the average worker, when interrupted, required 6 to 8 minutes of time to get back to the pace that they were on in any given task. This time is referred to by Franklin as recovery time. They also found that during this recovery time, the probability of errors being executed increased by 30%. Now, if these disruptions are induced by your IT infrastructure or your telecommunications system, you're actually buying and paying for technology that reduces the productivity of your team. When you work with us, we'll make sure that any technology that you embrace is implemented in a manner in which disruptions are eliminated. This produces higher productivity, lower cost, and higher profits. Now, back in the day when these gentlemen were selling the first wired telephone systems, they didn't have to worry about speed or remote locations or any of the issues that have to be dealt with today. From the system that they sold, which allowed you to call a neighbor, we've evolved into systems that carry data, video, audio, and traditional telephone services. This evolution has created a need for businesses like yours to look for ways in which to gain a sustainable competitive advantage, to have an increase in profits, an increase in productivity, and a reduction in stress for the stakeholders of your business. If this describes you, the next 20 minutes will help you tremendously. Now, what I'm going to do is walk you through the steps that you should undertake if you want to reduce your current telecommunications cost. There's 7 steps that have to be embraced, and they are making sure you're on the proper service plan. You can and should remove any unused lines and features, and I'll share more about that in just a moment. You should block pay-per-use features, especially those that don't increase the productivity of your team, but do significantly increase the cost to you of your telecommunications service. You should review your bill monthly and clearly consider upgrading to VoIP, which will eliminate much of the cost and much of the headaches associated with the traditional carrier relationship. You should consider a long-term contract and make sure that your customer service records are analyzed regularly. So let's take a look at the process that should be undertaken. Make sure you review your current contracts. We've actually found some situations where contracts had expired, but no one bothered to tell the customer. Consequently, the customers were paying for features, services, and activities that they didn't need. Well, I want you to make sure that you identify your use patterns, because by understanding your use patterns and then comparing them to the plans that are offered by the various carriers, you may find a distinct opportunity to significantly improve your financial situation while lowering your costs. Now, if you're anticipating growing, hiring more employees, having employees that work remotely in branch offices and or in the field, you should sit down and understand the features and the productivity gains that VoIP will produce for you. You see, VoIP technology enables your remote workers to communicate as if they were down the hall. So if a customer calls in and you need to transfer the call to a remote worker in another state, another city, or just down the street, the caller doesn't know that the call's being transferred geographically in a remote sense. What that means is that the image your company presents is one of a larger company. This also facilitates more rapid response to customer requests. Understand your current state and seek pricing options from your carrier. You may be overwhelmed with the number of options that are available, but as you start discussing these, some carriers will volunteer significant rate reductions. But once again, our encouragement is to explore VoIP. The second part of the process involves understanding the terms and conditions of these various plans. Make sure that you have the most competitive pricing that combines with the best fit for your business. You should optimize your relationship with a carrier that has steady relationships with its clients, and understand and quantify the savings that are entailed, not to mention the productivity that comes when you move to VoIP. As you're looking at your current situation, compare it to a VoIP proposal and you'll be amazed at the convenience, the productivity, and the savings that come from a VoIP implementation. You should also enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing that professionals like the Petronella team are assisting you in making this implementation. You should understand, do you have the proper plan and equipment? And again, the myriad of options may become somewhat confusing, but do you have a flat rate? Is it measured? Are you charged based on message? And what does your current equipment look like? Is it housed in your facility or is it remote? Many of these issues need to be addressed. Now, the first thing you can do to save money next month is identify and remove unused lines and features. It's amazing to us as we work with our clients how many features and how many phone lines are being paid for but are never used or are rarely used. Some carriers charge for yellow page listing. Does that help you get customers? If so, you have to look at your ROI. Many carriers charge for optional bells and whistles, which are sort of baked into your bill, but don't necessarily help anybody in your company. Even worse, there's a habit amongst some carriers to sign up customers for these bells and whistles without the customer knowing that that's occurring. When you work with a VoIP system, these features are not expensive. As a matter of fact, they come standard. Block pay-per-use features like directory assistance call completion. Imagine how many dollars are wasted by employees saying, go ahead and dial it for me, when the telephone system is charging your bill, not the employee's bill. Repeat dial is another example of this feature that is a pay-per-use feature. Call return automatically is another example. These things are all very expensive, but not when you use VoIP technology. Now, we believe that moving to the VoIP community is very important to maintain a sustainable competitive advantage. But you should employ a telecom expert when you do that. There are many nuances to any technology that need to be understood in order to optimize the results. So I believe that you have tax experts to work with tax issues, production experts to optimize the productivity of your plant, manufacturing experts, marketing experts, CPAs, lawyers, and the list could go on. Why not a telecommunications expert? Were that person able to show you a distinct and measurable savings in terms of the dollars associated with your telecommunications service? Many of the strategies that can be embraced by customers like you is to tell one carrier that you're talking to another carrier. You'll find that the pricing pin gets awfully sharp, awfully fast, and prices will go down. We have found that many carriers have price abuses almost as standard policies. Now, I'm not here to indict them, but they're big and they can do it and get away with it. They add complexity to the agreements almost deliberately. And in some cases, we found 10 to 15 different pricing models for the exact same service. When you work with Petronella, we'll help you turn the tables on them. And VoIP offers you significant leverage because they know that if you move to VoIP, they won't see any revenue from you. When we are working with our clients, we always build an assessment which is made up of observations and recommendations. We'll present this to you and help you identify areas within your business where substantial savings and returns can be generated, where a high ROI is available as a result of implementing VoIP technology. There's no capital investment required to get this information, and should you move forward, you'll appreciate the fact that most VoIP technology is considered an operating expense, not a capital expense. Many of our clients view the Petronella team as their partner in profit. And that's because we have a practice of meeting with each client every 90 days to conduct a QBR, or a quarterly business review. We've found that these QBRs help us understand where our clients are going. We then align our resources to help them get there. This allows us to apply the right expertise and the right talent to their situations. This avoids the embarrassment of a client trying to do it themselves. As with all technologies, there are some that are very simple and some that are very complex. We get the right fit for you every time. Now, as you're reviewing your bill, make sure that you identify situations that the industry refers to as slamming and cramming. Slamming is when one provider signs you up without your knowledge into a new long-distance situation. This may sound unethical, and perhaps it is, but nonetheless it happens frequently. This allows one customer to have service from several long-distance providers, even though you didn't ask for that. Another habit that we find concerning is cramming. Cramming is when you get bogus charges added to your bill for things like pay-per-use features that you didn't request, and so on. Compare these to the VoIP circumstances, and I'm sure you'll agree that you'll move forward very rapidly when you implement a VoIP PBX. Your costs will be lower, convenience will be significantly higher, productivity of your team will go up dramatically, and remote workers will actually feel closer to the home office, and you and those remote workers can communicate better, faster, and more easily. Security will also go up dramatically. Now, as you're looking for a VoIP PBX, make sure that it runs in the Windows environment. You don't want a black box that may work but doesn't work in Windows. And the reason you don't want that is that eliminates compatibility with other components of your business's productivity software, like CRM software, scheduling software, you name it. And by integrating all of this, we're able to help our clients dramatically improve productivity in many areas of their business. We'll discuss this with you when we conduct our assessment and meet with you at your location. Now, as you look at VoIP, there's some things that really have to be understood, and we'll explain these in detail when we get together. But the first thing we have to look at is the speed of your internet, both up and downloading. If the speed is insufficient, we'll help you get into a hosting environment to get the correct speed. How many employees are on your primary site versus remote site? How many lines do you need? And how many users will be involved in the system? All of these issues and others have to be understood in order to put together the best proposal possible. You should also analyze your customer service records, which is the last step of our process. Make sure that there are no math errors, that the billing details are correct, that you aren't a victim of slamming or cramming, and other provisioning issues are taken care of. You may have suboptimal rates, and remember, let the carrier know that some degree of abuse is going on. Now, when you employ these strategies and you utilize them aggressively, you should be able to reduce your cost on a traditional carrier by as much as 22%. When you become a VoIP user, that savings will go up even more significantly. Now, our assessment will help you understand that VoIP is a pay-for-it-as-you-go process and operational expense versus a capital expense. We'll identify any and all issues that need to be considered, present them to you in business speak, not technology speak, and allow you to decide how you'd like to proceed. We'll make sure that you get just the right amount of capacity, lines, and features, and operate near capacity, which is where optimum effectiveness occurs, without getting into an overpayment situation. Most importantly, VoIP will allow you to grow without significant disruptions. We wish that you would understand that our goal is to become your virtual telecom manager. We'll help you stay on course, lower your bills, and we'll assure that all of your employees comply with your rules, your procedures regarding your telecommunications utilization. We offer a return that could be 10 times the investment, and we'll show you in writing what you'll be looking at. We take complete accountability, and this avoids any finger pointing. Let's make sure that we move forward with the assessment. We'll audit the situation. We'll prepare your report. We'll present it and discuss it with you. You decide, we'll implement, and we'll become your virtual telecom manager. The next steps are very easy. Let's schedule a free assessment and meet with our team to review the findings. Then you should really consider retaining us as your telecom manager, which will free you to work on your business while we work on implementing a telecommunications systems in the VoIP arena that will lower cost and boost productivity. Well, I want to thank you very much for the time and attention that you've shared with me today, and don't forget to call us at 919-422-2607. Have a great day.